Synthia Surin on behalf of our management, especially our chairman, our managing trustee, faculty team, and the students of ASBM for this occasion. Ms. Synthia, we welcome on this occasion, and thank you for accepting our invitation and gracing this occasion. And I hand over this session to you now.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar. It's really a pleasure to be able to work with you again. And I'm happy, the students, to be able to share and give you all any help regarding this matter. I think you all have now come to the most important time of your life. And this is to be embraced not with fear, but you embrace it with excitement and, knowing that this is now the start of the next leg of your life. But with all said and done, you have to remember that all these years you have been programmed that you are a student. And you tend to carry some traits of student behavior, student personalities, and that's okay, it's acceptable. But you need to remember, as we transition and we go into the working world would want a different personality. So one of the things that I specialize in is executive coaching. And what it is making someone who probably has got nothing at all into the person that he needs to project himself. Now, you must remember that you have got to embrace change, okay? First of all, you need to change in the way you speak. The way you speak in school with the other students in your colleges and everything would be different. Now, when you approach and you go into the working world, you would have to speak very differently. You can't have the same behavior pattern. One of the things that you would have to do is to also change the way you would probably be dressing. You would have to be dressing professionally. And also, now we know that we have to be engaging with a lot of the phone messaging as well as, our emails. Now, as a student, we are so used to sending the WhatsApp messages, with, the emojis and things like that. Now, you have to remember that once you go into the working world, and you are now put into a group WhatsApp with your company, you do not use emojis anymore. You're being very careful with all this because you have to be professional. One of my trainings is also on email etiquette, which email etiquette I'm not going to go into today, but we can actually do it some other time, teaching you how to write professional emails. With a professional email, you don't say hi and things like that. You have to actually address the person properly, that when you sign off, there is a proper way of signing off. If you are somebody working, if it's your boss, how would you sign off? If you are sending the letter or the email to a corporate place, how would you do that? Now, you need to also know that you have to work in a way that you are responsible. With responsibility comes punctuality. Now, I'm not too sure, where you are, but especially in Asia, we have a problem with students being punctual. Now, punctuality when it comes to work is very, very important. If you start work at 9, it doesn't mean to say you arrive at your office at 9. You have had to arrive in your office at least 10 to 15 minutes earlier, because you are expected to start working at 9 o'clock, not arrive at 9 o'clock and you're getting yourself ready. So there are many, many different things that you need to adhere to when you go into the working world. Now, I'm sure a lot of you might be going into the working world with fear, but that's the worst thing that you can do, is to go into it with fear. What I want you to know is the emotion that you feel is going to be so important, because if you have heard about the law of attraction, it is actually how you project yourself, the feelings that you have, your mindset is what you are going to be actually attracting. Now, one of the things that is most important for you is to make sure that if you are going for a job interview to a particular company, you would have sent out your resume, you would have sent out, all your various applications to many different companies. Now, say, I'm just going to give you an example. You sent out an application and Kellogg's has agreed to have an interview with you. What would be one of the first things you would be doing? Of course, you would be making sure that your resume and all the questions and the department that you're going to work with, that you are familiar with everything. But one of the most important things you have to do before you go to the company is, a lot of people make this mistake, you have to do a company search. What is the company search? The company search is that you need to know A to Z what year was the company started in, how have they progressed, what are they doing, what are some of the things that they are there. Now, you see, whenever you go for an interview, and I happen to be on the board with a few of the companies here, that when they take in somebody, that I am there to see whether they are psychologically fit to fit the designation. Now, a lot of times when they are seated there, we ask them questions is, so what do you know about us? And they look very blankly and say, no, they don't know very much. Now that alone is a really minus point. But the candidate who says, well, I believe you started, in 1985, and you are in so many different countries. These are the strengths and these are the new things you're doing. We are really impressed already, because that only goes to show how interested you were with the company. Now, one of the very important things is also when there is an interview going on, eye contact is very important, because when you are not making eye contact with us, then we know that you are feeling nervous, you are feeling worried about the whole thing. Now, eye contact is the most important thing. Don't be looking at the floor or not looking at the person, okay? Keeping your hands just on your lap or by your side, not fidgeting with anything is also very important, And when you ask us questions as a company, we feel better about it. Rather than you sit there, we ask questions, and they always, at the end of it, they will say, now, is there anything that you would like to find out from us? And when you say no, that's a minus point, let me tell you. Whether or not they have mentioned it, ask at least 3 questions. When you ask these 3 questions, they already know that there is a level of curiosity with this applicant. Curiosity is a very, very important thing in applicants that come, So one very easy one, just ask, you can just say, what direction is the company moving in? Where best do you think I will fit in and I can be an asset to you, And then also always say, I know I'm coming in for this particular job, but I would be more than happy to fit in anywhere you feel. If there is a cross-training opportunity for me, any other opportunities that come up, I am so willing to be able to be part of it. Now, what is that telling us as employees, as employers? That this person is not someone who can only just do this one thing. Okay, say, I'm just going to say, so you're an accountant, and say, oh, I can only do this. And, if there is any other thing, I'm not happy to do it. But the minute someone is giving themselves, a broader base, we are much happier to actually engage with you. Now, I want you, if at all, when I'm going on, if somebody wants to ask a question, please, by all means, just ask questions, because I really prefer it to be interactive. Let me also tell you that this is the first time I am dealing with students in India, so I'm not too sure the level of interaction. Now, I know with different areas, people don't, and they think, oh, it's very respectful and we mustn't interrupt the speaker. No, I'm perfectly fine if you want to ask any questions, because when you ask questions, I will be able to address things that you otherwise are not too sure. Okay, so and now the other thing that I have told you was your appearance has to be very, very important. Now, the way you speak, the way you address people, that is very, very important. Now, one thing, just be very careful, and this is worldwide. Anywhere you go, and if you are a new person joining the company, please avoid office politics. Please avoid gossips that are going on there, because these are some things that are not at all advisable. Okay, you can just, if you are there, you do not want to be rude and take yourself out, but you do not have to engage. What do I mean by you don't have to engage? You do not have to say anything, and just make sure that you don't do these mistakes, because a lot of people feel they want to be the good side of this person and the good side of that person. Now, the other thing is also, when you go to a place like this, make sure of telephone etiquette. A lot of people don't realize that, telephone etiquette is very, very important. But even if it is the receptionist that you are talking to, you are wishing the receptionist, saying whether it's good afternoon or good evening. And when you finish your conversation, you always end with saying, thank you for your help. You were most helpful, So when you get into a habit of doing this, you will understand then that, this will come automatically. Now, telephone etiquette is also, if you are working in a particular department, in an office, and the phone rings, you just don't say hello, because you are to say, this is the accounting department. This is Raj. How can I help you? Okay, just saying hello is very rude. These are things that, it's very, very important, but these are some of the office etiquettes that I'm telling you. But apart from that, what are the most important things in your mind now, as you all now go into the next leg of your life? You are preparing yourself mentally and telling yourself, I can be anything that I want to be. Your mind is the only thing that will hold you back from being successful wherever you are and in anything that you want to do. Because the mind is the most important thing, and it dictates how your body feels and how you react. And your mind can tell you that you can do anything that anybody else could not have been doing. Now, another thing that you need to be very careful also is managing your emotions. As you leave the student world, And as you now go into the working world, I need for you to know that your emotions as a student are very different. You cannot have the same emotional behavior when you go into the working world. Where if you were in maybe with your classmates or anything and they said something, you would answer them back in a very different manner. Now, those emotions have got to be left behind. Once you go into a working world, and even if something that was not pleasant was said to you, you have to be very careful of not showing how emotionally upset you are, but talk in a way that is acceptable. I'm going to just give you an example that someone says, and I'm just going to take the name Raj. I don't mean that it's anybody here, okay? Someone says, Raj, I think you were the one that because of you, the sales didn't go on. Now, you don't say, what do you mean? How can you blame me? You just listen to what they have to say and just then say, can I give you my opinion on why we didn't get the sales through? I'd like you to take into consideration that maybe it is because of the economic downturn and it's not any of us who personally didn't try to do it. Now, from the first one where you say, what do you mean? How can you blame me? What you're doing is you're already getting that person annoyed. But the way when you say in the second term, where the person then can reflect and think, now that is what I'm telling you. Now, these are things that we have found that when students just come and join us in any company, they bring along with them student behavior. Student behavior is something we really cannot accept because that sort of behavior has to be left and you have to go into what is called a professional mode. Now, is there anything any of you want to ask me or before we go any further? I'd like some questions actually from you. Who's got some questions that you want to ask me? Has anyone got any questions?
I think that they have some choice of industries. Maybe you could ask us, the expert is there. You can ask about hospitality industry, healthcare industry, how is the future and what type of preparations you have to do. So internationally, how you can be the diversity side. So yeah. Come on, this is an open opportunity you have. And Ms. Synthia is willing to spend, is spending so much time for us today. So please, guys, yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
I have a question.
Is it Pooja, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
In an interview, if they ask about our weakness, how to tell it in a positive way?
Okay, if they ask, now I want to get the question right. If they ask you about
our weakness,
your weakness.
Yes, weakness.
Okay. So what you need to say, I would not like to look at it as a weakness, but I would like to look at it as one of my capabilities, and this is how I deal with it. So when you say that is not, don't use negative words. So just say that I find that I don't have weaknesses as such, but maybe I have a difficulty in saying no, even though I have a lot to do and I have a lot of assignments. I find it's difficult for me to say no. Now, we don't like people pointing out their weaknesses because, a lot of companies will ask you that. But when you are there saying no, I would prefer to look at it as just my ability and a challenge to me, and I wouldn't term it as a weakness. Pooja, is that okay with you?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Anyone else? Has anybody else got any other questions? Now, what organization would you be going into, Pooja? I mean, or which work, or which place are you deciding to apply for your job? Or
I didn't get you.
where are you applying to? What is it? The hospitality? Is it healthcare? Is it, what kind of industry?
Finance.
Finance. Is it? You're going
Yes, ma'am.
into finance. Okay,
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Right. All right. Yeah. So is there anyone else who's going maybe into like hospitality or healthcare, and wants to know what are some of the relevant questions that they will be asking you? Is there anybody else who wants to ask anything?
Not for
Ma'am?
now. Yeah,
Okay.
someone is asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, if we went into an interview, if they ask any questions and I don't know that question means, how to say very politely that we cannot defend as soon as I don't know that question, like that I can't say, ma'am. So how to say in a polite way that I don't know that?
So you just say, thank you very much for that question. I would like to do more research on that, of what you asked me, and I will come back to you. I can either email you or I can come again and give you the explanation for that. I haven't much experience in that area, so I would prefer to research that area before I give you my answer on that. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Anyone else? Is there anybody else who wants to ask any questions?
So grooming side, maybe you could share something with Cynthia. Say,
Okay.
body language.
Okay. Now, whenever you are going for an interview, it is better to be overdressed than to be underdressed. When I say overdressed, no matter what, the first impression is the most important, impression. Always wear a jacket. It doesn't matter whatever job. Now, when you come well dressed, we know that you are respecting us as a company. But whenever you come and you are not dressed well, this is a reflection on you. Now, with men, I want you to bring up this thing also. When you wear a tie, you need to make sure that the top button is always buttoned up, because some people wear a tie, the buttons are not on and the tie is not cinchered well. This is a very, very important thing, because that is alone, we know already that the person is taking trouble with the way they dress. Now, with women, let me tell you, don't go into anything wearing short sleeves, very tight fitting clothes, very, a low cleavage, things like that, because it shows the lack of respect for yourself. How you dress, if you are going for a party or a function or whatnot, it's a completely different thing, right? Make sure that you wear a jacket also. You are not wearing short sleeves. If you need to wear, if you're not wearing a jacket, you have to make sure that you wear long sleeves. And when you are seated in front of the interviewer, for men as well as women, you do not cross your legs. Crossing your legs like that is a no-no. You must sit with both your feet on the floor, because it is respect for whoever is employing you or whoever is looking at you. Because we are always looking that now, if they're going to represent our company when they go out, are they going to let our company down, And whenever you are talking, just make sure that you lean forward because sometimes you have 3 people there. So if the person is talking, make sure that if that person has asked a question, you lean forward and answer. And you can always say, I hope you're happy with, the answer I gave you. Is there anything else that you would like to know? Now, what we don't like is we ask you a question and then you give that answer and that's it. No, when they ask a question and you go even further, that makes us even happier. Now, the other thing is always wear closed shoes. I don't care how hot the country is or whatever it is, don't go in sandals. Don't go in open-toe shoes. Wear closed shoes, men as well as women. We are always looking at the whole thing. If there are 3 people there, someone is already noting down when the person came in dressed, was she professionally dressed? And we immediately scan from top to bottom, just immediately to see shoes, what type, and advisable if you're wearing skirts for the girls, you must make sure your skirt is below your knee. It is not acceptable to go for interviews if your skirt is above your knee. So these are very, very important things also. Okay. Any other questions?
That's a really great opening session, Ms. Cynthia. I think we will go further more, and it's a first day program. I would like to just make it like, if you are fine with that, or anything you wanted to say for 1 minute or something.
No, I'm fine with that. But what I'd like for them to just, affirmations to yourself is a very big thing. So before we, I think our time is up, Dr. Sundar, is it?
You can have another 5 minutes, 2-3 minutes, no problem.
Yeah. So, okay. So, an affirmation is something that you keep telling yourself, and affirmations are, we have found a very good thing, especially with the students. So what I want you to say to yourself, right? Or if you can even take this down, if someone wants to write it down and pass it, I'm going to say, I believe in my abilities and I express myself with confidence. And I'm going to repeat that. I believe in my abilities and I express myself with confidence. Okay, now I know this is an introduction. It is just